Most people think a high vibrational woman is easy to recognize. They imagine someone calm, spiritual, always at peace, someone who meditates, drinks green smoothies, speaks softly, and carries a kind of gentle energy that makes everyone around her comfortable. But according to Carl Jung, this idea has very little to do with real psychological power. In fact, what most people call high vibration is often just another refined form of performance, a socially acceptable mask designed to be liked, approved of, and validated. And that's where the deeper truth begins. Because a truly high vibrational woman does not exist to make others comfortable. She exists in alignment with herself, and that alignment in a world built on unconscious patterns is not soothing. It is disruptive. It exposes what others are avoiding. It reflects what others are suppressing. And without saying a word, her presence alone can trigger discomfort, insecurity, and even resistance in people who cannot understand why they feel unsettled around her. We live in a world of performance. Everyday people wake up and unconsciously put on what Jung called the persona, the psychological mask that allows them to function socially. It is the version of you that smiles when something feels wrong, agrees when you disagree, softens when you want to stand firm, and shrinks when you feel the urge to expand. This is not conscious deception. It is survival. From a young age, you were taught which parts of you were acceptable and which parts were not. So, you adapted. You learned to filter your emotions, adjust your tone, and shape your behavior to maintain connection. But over time, that performance begins to cost you something. Because the more you adapt to be accepted, the further you move away from what is real within you. You begin to question your own instincts. You begin to seek validation before trusting your own perception. You begin to live in a constant state of adjustment, shaping yourself to fit into expectations that were never designed for your authenticity. And slowly, without realizing it, you lose connection with your authentic self. The high vibrational woman is not someone who perfected this performance. She is someone who became aware of it and chose to stop. Not because she is rebellious, not because she is trying to prove something, but because she realized something most people never fully understand. The performance was disconnecting her from who she really is. This is where the deeper psychological shift begins. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the path of becoming whole. But wholeness is not about becoming better or more acceptable. It is about becoming real. And to become real, you must face what? You have spent your entire life avoiding. You must face the shadow. The shadow is everything within you that you were taught to reject. Your anger, your selfishness, your ambition, your desire for control, your emotional intensity. These parts were labeled unacceptable, so you push them into the unconscious. But what you reject does not disappear. It grows in the dark. It influences your behavior, your reactions, and your relationships, without your awareness. Most people avoid this truth because facing the shadow means accepting that you are not only light. You are complex. You are capable of both good and bad, both compassion and intensity, and that realization challenges the identity you have built. But the high vibrational woman does something rare. She turns toward it. She acknowledges her shadow. She accepts it. And instead of running from it, she integrates it. And once that integration happens, everything changes. And this is where everything changes. Because once a woman has faced her shadow, once she has stopped running from herself and started integrating what she was taught to reject, she doesn't just become different, she becomes undeniable. And there are 3 rare psychological signs that reveal when a woman has reached this level of integration. Signs that you don't notice at first, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. The first sign is subtle, but once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Now, let's discuss the signs. Sign 1. She no longer projects, and she no longer absorbs. Most people are not interacting with reality. They are interacting with their own unconscious projections. When someone cannot accept something within themselves, they unconsciously assign it to others. The insecure see judgment everywhere. The dishonest expect betrayal, and the manipulative believe they are being manipulated. This is not intentional. It is a defense mechanism that protects the ego from self-awareness. But the high vibrational woman is no longer operating from this unconscious pattern. Because she has already faced her own shadow, she does not need to project it outward. She understands her own emotional depth, which allows her to see others clearly without distortion. She is no longer reacting to illusions. She is responding to reality. More importantly, she does not absorb other people's projections either. When someone accuses her, misinterprets her, or tries to place their unresolved issues onto her, she does not collapse under the pressure. She does not rush to defend herself, over-explain herself, or seek validation just to restore comfort. She remains grounded in her own awareness. This is what makes her presence unsettling, because most people are used to others absorbing their projections, validating their distortions, and maintaining their illusions. But when those projections are not accepted, they are forced to face what they were trying to avoid. She becomes a mirror not by trying to expose anyone, but simply by not participating in unconscious exchanges, and not everyone is ready to see their own reflection. Sign 2. Her inner masculine is integrated. Carl Jung described the inner masculine energy within a woman as the animus. This is not about gender. It is about psychological balance. The animus represents clarity, logic, direction, boundaries, and the ability to take decisive action. In many women, this energy remains suppressed because society often rewards softness, but criticizes firmness. As a result, many women either silence their inner voice or develop a harsh internal critic that creates doubt, confusion, and internal conflict. But the high vibrational woman has integrated this energy. Her inner masculine is no longer suppressed or working against her. It is aligned. It works in harmony with her emotional depth. She can feel deeply without losing clarity. She can care without abandoning herself. She can listen without silencing her truth. And when something crosses her boundaries, she does not hesitate. She does not over-explain, justify, or seek permission. She does not negotiate with what she already knows. She responds with clarity. She makes decisions without internal chaos. She trusts her perception. This level of self-trust makes her resistant to manipulation. Guilt does not control her. Fear does not silence her. Approval does not define her. And in a world that depends on self-abandonment to maintain relationships, this kind of self-possession feels disruptive. But it is not harshness. It is alignment. Sign 3. She has mastered emotional alchemy. Sensitivity is often misunderstood. Many people believe that feeling deeply is a weakness. But the truth is, sensitivity is not the problem. Lack of awareness is an unintegrated person absorbs everything. Other people's emotions become their emotions. Other people's stress becomes their stress. They cannot distinguish between what belongs to them and what does not. This leads to emotional exhaustion, confusion, and a loss of identity. The high vibrational woman has transformed this sensitivity into strength. She does not absorb, she processes. She can feel deeply without losing herself. She can sit in intense emotional environments without becoming overwhelmed. She can witness pain without internalizing it. This is emotional alchemy, the ability to experience emotion without being consumed by it. Carl Jung described this as psychological sovereignty. She maintains her internal state regardless of external chaos. And in doing so, she influences the emotional environment around her. A regulated presence naturally stabilizes others not through force, but through consistency. This is a quiet form of power, one that is felt before it is understood. There is a cost to becoming this woman, because the moment she stops performing, she disrupts every system that depended on her performance. People who benefited from her silence resist her voice. People who relied on her compliance resist her boundaries. People who were comfortable with her smallness feel threatened by her growth. This resistance often appears as criticism. She may be called too much, too intense, too independent, or too difficult. But these labels are not truths. They are attempts to pull her back into who she used to be. At first, this creates distance. It feels like loneliness. But over time, that loneliness transforms into something deeper, solitude. And the difference between the two is profound. Loneliness seeks validation. Solitude is self-sufficient. The high vibrational woman is not isolating herself. She is refining her environment. She is no longer available for connections that require her to abandon herself. She would rather stand alone in truth then stay in relationships that demand her silence. And eventually, something shifts. She stops chasing connection and begins to attract alignment. The people who enter her life are no longer those who need her to perform, but those who resonate with her authenticity. This is what Jung meant by wholeness, not perfection, not constant happiness, but integration. The ability to hold both light and shadow, emotion and clarity, softness and strength. A woman who has reached this state does not need to prove anything. She does not perform, she does not convince, and she does not seek approval. She simply exists as she is, and that presence carries a power that cannot be ignored. Because when a woman truly belongs to herself, the world feels it before she ever says a word. If even one of these signs felt familiar, pause for a moment. Because what you're experiencing isn't confusion, it's awareness. And most people spend their entire lives avoiding that level of awareness. So, comment below which of these 3 signs, 280, resonated with you the most. Not just for engagement, but because someone reading your comment might realize they're not alone in this. And if you want to go deeper into this kind of psychological transformation, subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't just talk about change, we help you understand what it actually takes to become whole.